Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. This is a table runner I made a while back, and the part that I'm focusing on are these flowers that are on here, and this is called machine applique, the technique that you use to do this. Now there are 5 different fabrics in here that you need to cut and stitch together. Now the templates that I used for the main part of the fabric look like this, and these are made by June Taylor, and you can get these at Joann Fabrics and Crafts. They're in the area where they sell all the quilting templates and everything, so that's where you'll find it. You can also probably find them on Etsy and Amazon.com. This method that I used uses two-sided fusible web. So I'm going to be going over another way to do this that saves you a lot of sewing time and cutting time. There are 2 different types of fusible web that you can use. You can use any one for this particular type. This is two-sided fusible web. So there's paper on this side and paper on the back, with a thin layer of glue in between. And there's a process you go through to place this glue on the fabric so you can fuse it onto your background fabric. There's also another type that I'm going to go over right now. Now the fusible web that I just showed you prior to this is also made by Pellon, but it'll say two-sided fusible web. The one I'm using today is called one-sided fusible web, and there are very detailed instructions on the back. Now this is a sample of it. The difference is there's a waxy paper on one side, which you remove, and then on the back side is the glue, and what you do is you pull this paper off and place it on the sticky side, and that will help you to apply it to your background fabric. Now, you saw how detailed it was to make that flower on the table runner, although it's not hard, but it is more detailed. So in this method, you want to look for large print fabric with large flowers on it or any other design that you like that's large print. And they are very colorful, and when you apply them to your background fabric, you don't have to worry about making sure there's all that detail in the flower. You know right away when you're looking at it that it's a flower. So I've already put my flower in there that I want to work with, and I usually will take that waxy paper and set it on and then finger press it really, really good. Then you remove this waxy paper again, and then go ahead and cut around the edges so you can cut all this other glue off. Then you take it and place it on your background fabric. Then you use a hot iron. You put a little cloth over it and use a hot iron with steam to fuse it down. The package has very detailed instructions. The thing that I recommend before you do any type of applique stitch around the edges to keep it from unraveling through washing is I put thin paper on the back or some other machine stabilizer that you have. So you go ahead and do your stitches. Now, because the leaves were attached to the flower and the leaves look like they're behind the flower, there is a specific order you need to be careful of when you're doing applique stitching. Because the leaf is behind, you actually want to do the stitches on this one first, around all of the leaves. Then when you go to do the flower, the edges of your stitching over here is covered up by the next line of applique stitching. Now here are some samples of applique stitches that I have on my sewing machine. You may have all of these or some of them. If you have an older machine that all you have is a zigzag stitch, then I recommend you tighten up your stitch so that they're a little bit closer together. So shorten the length on it. Now it doesn't have to be flowers. I had fabric that had these large hearts on it, so I cut them out and placed it in this layout. And again, I placed paper behind it to do the applique stitching. Also, here is a leaf. Now, this one I did just a little differently than what I showed you on the others. Is I had this fall fabric that I really liked, and I also liked the shape of the leaf, and I wanted to put it up here in this corner. So to make sure I had that exact shape, I took my fabric and placed it in my photocopier printer machine at home and enlarged it, and then did that Fusible Web application process, did my applique stitches around the edge, and all I did here was just a straight line of a zigzag stitch or a satin stitch to give it the same appearance as the leaf in the fabric. One more I want to show you is that this one here. This was cut out the same technique that I just showed you how to do. So you can see how the flower looks very realistic, or more realistic than the very first flower I showed you. And you can make nice little projects that look like you spent hours making them. Now, if you feel like you want to do more than what I just showed you, you can really do anything you want. There's no rules in sewing, just suggestions. I cut out kind of a loose representation of a flower pot. I put a little strip down here to make it look like it was the water tray at the bottom. Then I cut out flowers from that same fabric that I showed you the first example in, and I layered them. So before you actually glue anything down, have your sticky stuff on the back, your glue on the back of your flowers, and just kind of lay them there to get them. And then if you don't like it, it's easy to lift it off. And then with that one-sided fusible webbing, you want to take your iron and just kind of tap the edges of it just a little bit, so that when you go to do the real fusing, it doesn't shift around. Again, I still put a cloth over the top. Now, I haven't done my quilting applique stitches on it, but I just wanted to show you how much you can do. And I actually did a table runner with something like this on each end of the table runner. I couldn't find it. I know it's in my storage room somewhere, so I'm sorry I didn't have that to show you. So for those of you with a little more experience, try something like this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tip of the week. If you want to get more detailed information about the complete process of fusing and stitching, I have a lot of detailed tutorials on applique stitching. So I will have some tutorials listed down there that you could view to get more information on how to do this technique. Now, while you're down there in that description section, and by the way, to get to that description section, you need to scroll down and click on Show More, and that section will expand open and you'll see a lot of links. Now, also don't forget to review my sewing tips of the week. I have a lot of them. So for those of you where this is just your first one, I have many, and they're very educational, very helpful to those of you who need a brush up on sewing, or you're just getting started. Now, while you're looking at all those links, think about following me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.